powers can be restored. It's time to suit up.
How's it been? How's Auckland? How's New Zealand?
It's great. It's great. Sunny weather here at the moment. Had a little bit of rain this morning, but as they say in Auckland, you wait 5 minutes and the weather will change. So.
Oh my gosh. It's actually raining here in LA.
Nice. That's a good thing, right?
It is right now. It's harder when you have a dog, but it's better than 9 months of drought. So
yeah. Oh, guys, welcome to a special interview for the Morphin Network. It's me, Ryan, and here's my partner Mike as my co-interviewer.
Hello, everyone. Happy President's Day if you're in the U.S.
Yes, happy President's Day here in the U.S. And also we have a very special guest today. It is the amazing Jared Turner, who played Void Knight and also Void King in Power Rangers Cosmic Fury and Power Rangers Dino Fury. And also
Liger from Jungle Fury.
And also, of course, all y'all Mighty Johnson's fans.
Yeah.
But so Jared, thank you so much for being our special guest. And thanks so much.
Thank you for having me.
Awesome. So let's get this interview started. So Jared, can you tell us how you started with acting?
Acting. That goes back to my high school days. I think I was a bit of a jock, and I liked playing sports and rugby, and I think that's where my career was headed until injuries started to take over. Where once I was the biggest guy on the field, suddenly I was one of the smallest guys in the field, and I just was getting annihilated every match. And at the same time, a mate of mine at school said, "Hey, you should do drama because that's where all the chicks are going, and it's easy, and you can just chill out, just pretend to do shit." Sorry.
No worries.
And I went, "Yeah, that sounds great. It's perfect." I ended up loving it, really enjoying it, and I was asked to be the lead in the school play, which was Little Shop of Horrors.
Woo!
Oh, okay. It's my favorite musical. So
Yes. What's that?
Who'd you play in Little Shop?
I played Seymour.
Oh, nice.
Feed me, Seymour.
Seymour, feed me.
And so I did the school play, finished high school, had a few jobs here and there, and wasn't sure what to do with my life at that point. And then I met a guy who was going to drama school, and I was like, "Oh, there's a school for this!" Like, yeah. And I auditioned. Had no idea about auditions or what to do. Didn't get in. And then the following year, I thought, maybe I should learn my lines this time. I auditioned and didn't get in. And then the third year, I was a bit more serious and had a lot more practice, and was accepted into several schools. Chose one in Western Sydney. Studied there for 3 years and came out professional actor.
What was the audition process for Liger and Void Knight / Tarek?
For Liger, that was just a voice audition, and it's going back a few years back now. But I just remember the voice director, Jim McClarity, auditioned me, and I got the part. And what I do remember from it, because it was such a growly voice, I did a day of recording, and the next day I think I almost lost my voice. I just for so many hours that I was in pain the next day, and vowed that I would never do a character voice for Power Rangers ever again. Lo and behold, many years later, I come back with a character with a very similar voice in that of Void Knight.
Yep.
And the audition process for that was, initially I said no to the audition. The reason being was that they had mentioned that there were prosthetics that might be involved with the character, and having worked on a show where it was heavy prosthetics and I didn't like it, I was like, nah, I'll pass on this one. Anyway, the casting director was insistent that I auditioned, so I did, and then ended up getting a call back, and in the room was Simon Bennett, who I'd worked with before on Power Rangers, Almighty Johnson's, and Chip Lynn was there as well, and yeah, I had a great time doing this audition, and then I was offered the part, and I was quite happy, even though they reassured me that there wasn't going to be as much prosthetics as initially thought. So once I heard that, I was like, that's great. Okay, good. I'm happy. I'll do this one. And I was very fortunate to be cast in this role. So I really, really enjoyed it.
Before I go to my next question, I want to add on. Of course, spoiler alert for guys who didn't watch it. Of course, he was revealed as the father of the Pink Ranger, now current Red Ranger. Did you know ahead of time that, or like, did he tell you before Cosmic Fury that you would be, or before you finished filming Dino Fury, that you would be Amelia's dad?
Yeah, I knew very early on, and I had to keep that a secret from Hunter. So she was so lovely. She was the first. She was the first or second Ranger that I met. I think the first was Russell, and we passed each other in wardrobe. Quickly said hello, and then I met Hunter, and she's so gregarious and fun and lovely, and she was very nice, and I just had to stop myself from saying, "I'm your dad." It was great, and then I think she found out very early on too, or she guessed or something, because when we do the table reads of each episode, people have their theories about what might happen and who is who and what their relationships are and stuff like that, and I think there was a rumor or a guess or a, what do you call it, a theory that Tarek might be Amelia's dad.
Yeah, because like before, like there's like Facebook group pages, even there's like supposedly like, oh, there's a leak that went by. I don't know what happened, but there was a theory in Facebook group pages that said like this could be Amelia's dad. Because remember, like in the first season, like, oh, her parents disappeared.
Well, I think the writers are very clever in dropping hints here and there, and it's they love to let the audience guess and play around with theories and ideas about these things, and they're, like I said, they're so clever that they drop hints. And in hindsight, when you look back, you go, of course he's her father. We saw charming. They drip fed us all these little bits and pieces. So
Yeah, I knew the parents had something to do with the Area 52 or 61 or whatever it was called.
Yes. This actually goes to my question. So of course you did film Power Rangers for a long time. Do you have any fun behind the scenes stories while filming on a set of, let's say, Dino Fury and Cosmic Fury?
I mean, it was such a long time. I mean, I'm sure there are, but the one thing that stands out in my mind is when I was filming some fight scenes on Second Unit, and the director was Yuji, one of the Japanese directors. And not only is Yuji a great director, he's a very accomplished martial artist and stuntman. And so all I had to do as Tarek was do a front kick to one of these monsters. And you know, when you're fighting the monsters, the stunt performers inside the costumes can barely see anything, so they're going by remembering where they're supposed to be stepping, because they can probably only see on the floor, and then feeling the hits on them from the other characters. So I had to front kick this character performer, and I'm always, you know, I don't want to hurt anyone, so I'm being very gentle and just a light touch, a little push. But Yuji was like very insistent that I give him a good hard kick, and I, you know, checked with the stunt performers. It's okay. He's like, oh yeah, it's fine. I got padding here. It's all good. Da, da, da. And every time I did it, I would kick. Yuji would go, no. You need to hit more. Hit like pull your knee back, and then snap it. And I lost count of how many times we did this take of me just kicking, because I could never get it right. And I think the next day I was sort of I was hobbling because I'd done so many kicks by that scene that I'd caused myself a bit of an injury. Nevertheless, the editors did a great job and made me look like I knew what I was doing. So I thank them. And I thank Yuji for giving me such great instruction as to how to do a simple front kick.
There's actually one scene I did admire in Cosmic Fury where you actually went one-on-one with one of the monsters on Morph.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and you just like basically like a samurai. Because I was expecting, are you gonna morph? Is he gonna morph? But like the fact he beat him up.
Oh, is this Cosmic Fury?
Yeah, in Cosmic Fury, yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, that was badass.
I had, you know, most of the time, we sort of figure it out on the day. The stunt performers will come up to me and go, okay, Jared, this is what we're going to do, this, and this. And so there's not a lot of rehearsal time to get it right. And so the pressure's on, because, you know, these guys that come up with these sequences are super talented and very, very good at martial arts and what they do. So basically I just have to try and mimic what they're doing or copy what they're doing and try to look like I know what I'm doing. Fortunately, they gave me such great instruction that I was able to look like I was able to swing the swords and do the kicks and knew exactly what I was doing. And it's so much fun. You know? So after a few takes, suddenly it sort of starts to sink in, and you're like, okay, that's that, and then I can start putting in the facial expressions to go with it, because I'm usually, most of the time when I'm practicing, I'm just like, and so when I'm doing the scene, when the camera's rolling, you know, I have to look a little more serious and, you know, do all the very, I'm gonna get you. So it's a lot of fun. I really enjoyed those fight sequences in Cosmic Fury, and given that I was allowed to actually do them as opposed to the stunt performers do it, well, most of them, I'm very thankful.
For me, I think that was probably my favorite episode of Cosmic Fury, because not only do we have 3 bluish rangers like standing next to each other who have previously been villains, because, you know, Billy's been brainwashed many times and Heckle was a villain and you were a villain, but also there's also the fact that like, as a Sentai fan, I actually appreciate your fight sequence even more. Because in the Japanese version of Cosmic Fury, the character you were fighting against was the twist main villain of the Japanese counterpart. So we have like a main villain from Dino Fury fighting against the main villain from Q Ranger, and it was like so cool seeing one more with the two swords. So it's like a lot of main villains show up in the same episode, and it was chef's kiss.
Yeah.
And yeah, the choreography was phenomenal as well.
Yeah.
But let me ask you this: what were some fun behind the scenes moments you've had during Dino Fury and Cosmic Fury?
Oh, I think it's the kicking, like the constant that in that moment, that scene, and I can't think of anything else because it's there's so much time sort of condensed into this season that I can't think of any fun behind the scenes things, other than the jokes that would be flying around at the table reads, and yeah, I couldn't help with answering that question because I can't remember.
That's going forward to one of your other famous projects. So staying in Power Rangers, so and I asked you this, like, what was the difference in playing Void Knight and Void King? Like, was there like had to change your like character wise? Because I know Tarek was a good guy, but then he went back to more villainous role. Technically, he wasn't really a villain he was basically just like wanted to save his daughter, like basically like in Avengers Thanos. But like did you have to change your character a bit? Like, what was the transition to that?
I did. I mean, I'm hoping that people picked it up, but there was a slight change in my voice between Void Knight and Void King. Void Knight, everything he does has a real sense of purpose. He's got a meaning to why he's doing things. Sort of like doing all the wrong things for the right reason. Mm-hmm. Whereas Void King has no purpose other than evil, because he's been influenced by Void Queen and all the Sporix, the power of the Sporix. So yeah. So for the character difference, there was just like I just played him as evil as I could, in the voice, So yeah, maybe that was a bit growly or a bit sort of just a real pleasure in people suffering, that kind of thing, or the Rangers suffering, should I say?
Yes. But again, still, you did have one of the best suits, though. Like, not like your armor suit. Actually, like when you're not as Void Knight, I actually want to try cosplaying that once.
Oh right, yeah.
Yeah, when you're not more of like with your sword, actually, it's kind of cool. I was like, oh, this is actually cool.
I like the vest.
Yeah, the vest. That's what I'm talking about. The vest. There you go.
Yeah, it's very spider punk.
Yeah.
And again, what I like about Void, like the villain, like for Void Knight, like you didn't do it for evil purposes. You did just to save your wife or your daughter. That actually,
Yeah.
So basically, it's like more like the misunderstood villain, but you were no bad intention. So what I like about this season, because a lot of Power Ranger villains in the past, like, oh, you're doing it for evil. This is one of the few rarest instances where like the main villain's not really evil. So it's like kudos to the writers.
Yeah, they did a great job.
Yes.
On the subject of Mr. Freeze.
Now, of course, I'm going to your one of your other famous projects, which is Almighty Johnson's. I used to watch it when I was a kid. Now, what was your experience in playing Ty Johnson?
I had the best time on that show, it was a lot of fun. For New Zealand, it was a very different show. Prior to that, a lot of TV shows were, the one prior to that was really successful was a show called Outrageous Fortune. It was about a family of criminals who were trying to go straight, and it was a sort of comedy drama. It was a great show, and then. So audiences were sort of expecting something similar to that. So when it switched to something that was a little more sci-fi and fantasy, had a few people scratching their heads, because it was the first time New Zealand had really sort of delved into this this world as a sort of primetime show, and it was great for us because we were just playing around and essentially it's a show about a family. So we weren't sort of playing it as we are these manifestations of gods or anything like that. We just played it as we're a bunch of brothers who all have our own foibles and quirks and our different relationships with one another. And I think that's what was the key to the show. Key to the success of the show is that it's just it's about relationships and about family dynamics, and then there was just that fun twist of it being this sort of fantasy show as well. So it was a lot of fun. It was great, and those guys I'm still very close with. They're very good friends, and I love them to bits.
Yeah, I found it particularly interesting how you got Odin, who was supposed to be the All-Father. He's only 21 years old in the show, while his son Thor is a much older person, played by our friend Jeff Dolan. So, it's like... But I have to say this. I loved watching your fight against Colin in that one episode. Yeah. It was a good time.
Oh, yeah. That was great. There was just such a good rivalry between... the fire and ice between between Colin and Ty, played by Colin, played by Shankle Teagues. And we had a lot of fun. He was a great guy, and so we would ham it up a little bit, I think there were so many great moments like that, with the standoffs, whether it was leading up to the wedding between Ty and Eva. I can't remember the character's name. Eve.
Eve, yeah.
No, not Eve. It wasn't. Oh shit, I can't remember. It's such a. Anyway,
we're overdue for a fourth season, regardless.
Yeah, we need a fourth season. Yeah, we need a fourth season.
But yeah, we had you for a fourth season. Come on, guys. But yeah, there was. It was. I just have such fond memories of filming that show because it was so much fun, and it's quintessentially Kiwi as well. That was the other great thing about it.
It was kind of ironic. Like a lot of your Power Ranger alumni were in Illinois Johnson's. We had Emmett here in our show once. Guys who played Axel Johnson.
Yeah.
And we of course our good friend Jeff Dolan now, of course.
Yep.
Yeah.
Michelle Langston. Antonio Preble. Who else was in there? Quite a few others. And the directors as well. I mean, directors who have directed episodes of Power Rangers, be it Simon Bennett or Mark Beasley. Who else is in there? A whole bunch. So.
Yeah, I love how all of you are also in Spartacus and Shorties. Yeah, a lot of Power Ranger actors are always showing up in these three shows together.
Three shows in New Zealand. It's that thing of whatever's sort of filming at the time you audition for and hope for a part in, and I was fortunate to be cast in each of those things. So I had a lot of great time in each one.
And if anyone in the United States is interested in watching the Almighty Johnsons for the first time, or if you just want to watch it all over again, all three seasons are available for free on Tubi TV as well as Peacock. So you guys have something to add to your binge list.
Yeah.
Can you tell us about your role in the Ash vs. Evil Dead franchise?
Yeah, well, the only thing I did was voice a couple of key characters. I never had a physical role in the show, and for whatever reason, I was uncredited with the voiceovers for these characters. So I think I just forgot to put that in my contract. Maybe it was a lot of fun, and again, it was like I said with Power Rangers, doing the voices can be a challenge, especially when they're sort of demonic voices, which I seem to be getting a lot of work for. I've just been working on a very popular PC game here, which I can't say, but nearly lost my voice with all the yelling and screaming in a demonic style. So with those characters, long days, long hours, sort of drawing out these sort of gnarly sounds, and with Elagos, because if you look at the character, he's quite, I sort of looked at the character and went, okay, what's his voice going to be? What's the shape of his mouth? What's his texture like? And he's, for want of a better word, he's very wet and just drooling, and so I thought I'd make the sound quite I can't think of a better word, slushy, and so when we're doing the voice and creating these sounds, started to steer towards sort of making this sounds disgusting, but making my voice very phlegmy. And after a while, it's sort of, you start to dry up when you're doing these sort of things. And I was like, okay, what do I need? I need something that's going to help me sort of, get that sound back there again. I said, chocolate. I need chocolate. So I would chew mouthfuls of chocolate and just let it sort of, swill through my mouth and then down the back of my throat, and then start to make all this easy sounds. But you kind of, that they're going to play with it anyway in post. But if you get there at the start, it makes it so much better. And that's how I created the character voice of Elagos, was chocolate. So it was a lot of fun and a lot of energy and a lot of chocolate. So it was a good time. And then with the Necrocomicon, it was again a similar sort of thing where I was just trying to reach down and find that real sort of guttural, growly voice that suited the look of the. Well, I guess it is a character, and yeah, because they loved what I did with Elagos. So like, okay, now we want you to do the Necrocomicon. It's like, okay, but different. Same, but different. So yeah, again, it was just about finding the right voice of looking at the image of the character and then figuring out what the speech patterns are and what the sounds are and all that sort of stuff. So it's a great experience because it's so much fun trying to figure these things out. And again with Elagos, a lot of it comes down to what the performer's doing, what the physical performer's doing as well, how they're carrying their body and all that sort of stuff. So, I can't remember his name, but I think he did an amazing job.
Yeah, the chocolate thing, it makes me think about that scene from Doctor Who where he's like, apples, I need apples. No, not apples. Fish sticks with custard. Okay, there we go.
Fish sticks with custard.
One of my favorite horror franchises. It's actually, for me personally, is underrated. What was your experience on filming Underworld: Rise of the Lycans?
That was so much fun. It's like one of those things where you just get to be silly, It's a vampires versus werewolves film set in sort of a medieval time, and you just get to play because no one knows exactly what these times are like, and the director Patrick Totopoulos was phenomenal. He was so much fun. He was such a good guy, and would allow us to sort of to play and have fun. And he was the original creature designer for Underworld, and so we had to sort of wolf it up a bit. So I stick out my jaw at the bottom some scenes where I feel like I'm about to change. I never actually got to physically change at all.
Yeah.
That's a whole other story. But it was, meeting some of those actors was pretty phenomenal as well. Like Michael Sheen, Bill Knigh, Kevin Grievous, who Kevin was also one of the creators of Underworld. And so, being in the same room as those guys was pretty epic. They had done and have continued to do such amazing work. So it's kind of a little starstruck at times.
Yeah, you were really fun as Christo.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was great. Michael was a really cool cat, and Craig Parker and I just got to be his sort of right hand men, and we just run around with him. And I remember there was one time where I, in the studio, I'm running along, and I have to unlock a key to a cell, and I run and I stop. And I slide, and I keep sliding. The camera's there, and I keep sliding, and I hit the deck. And I keep shaking it off. And all I hear behind the camera is the cameraman going, "Just keep going, just keep going." Hit myself, but yeah, just keep going. Cut. So yeah, it was a lesson in if I need to stop, I can stop. But it was great. It was a really good time. Bill Knigh, you'd know he was on set, or he was in his trailer when you'd rock up. You'd drive into the lot, and then you'd just hear this loud music, which was usually something like Led Zeppelin or Cream, some other rock band from the 60s, 70s era, and that's coming from Bill's trailer, and he's just rocking. Cool. Goes on set.
Yeah, not a lot of people mention Cream. I'm like, well, how do so many people not know Cream? it's a great band.
Yeah, they're classic.
Yeah. We've done even more horror movies. I think pretty much every question outside of Power Rangers is probably horror related. But tell us about your experience about 30 Days of Night.
30 Days of Night was, again, another great experience, which I was fortunate to be part of. Initially, the scene, like the character in the scene, was a little bit bigger, and then sort of as they were shooting, they realized, we're shooting quite a lot. We're running out of room in this film. We're just going to cut this scene down, and then by the time we shot, I think it was a few scenes, and then by the time we shot the scene, I think they just squeezed it all into one scene. But it was still great fun. I got to work alongside some great stunt performers who were also playing vampires, Andy Stilling being one of them, and also with my good mate Kelson Henderson, who most of you Power Rangers fans will be very familiar with.
Yep.
Kelson and I had this great run. We were just doing all these jobs together for a couple of years. We started with a TV commercial, and then we became good friends after that, and then we worked on 30 Days a Night and Power Rangers, and we just kept bumping into each other on these jobs, and sort of forged a firm friendship since then. And so it was great. It was an all-night shoot, and David Slade, the director, started the first half of the night, and then Charlie Haskell, who was also one of the directors of Power Rangers, took over for second unit, so we filmed the rest of the night with him. So we shot. We got there as the sun was going down. We shot right up until the sun was coming up, and it was just a lot of screaming and running and good banter in between. So it was a lot of fun, and it's such a cool film as well. I think one of my good friends, Megan Franich, got to be the lead female vampire in that. Had a great time doing that. She did such a great job too, alongside Danny Houston.
Now, of course, you can say, do you have any upcoming projects that you can tell your fans, or allowed to say?
Yeah, there's a couple of projects I've just that have finished filming and are in post-production at the moment. The first one being a film by New Zealand director Lee Tamahori called The Convert, starring Australian Guy Pearce.
Ooh!
Sort of colonial times in New Zealand, about two Maori tribes. They're at war, and then Guy Pearce's character is sort of a preacher who's been brought in by the colonials to look after their church, but instead gets caught up between these two tribes, trying to find a way for them to make peace. And so that comes out in March here in New Zealand. I'm not sure where it comes out in the States, but it will certainly get a theatrical release over there. It looks like an epic film. Lee Tomahori, some of you might know, as being the director of films like Once Were Warriors, went on to direct a few James Bond films, or one James Bond, I'm not sure, and a whole bunch of other great films over in the States. And then the other film is a horror film called Grafted that was shot here in New Zealand, about a young girl whose pursuit of popularity goes in a horrific direction. I play her lecturer at university who tries to steal her. No, I won't give any more away. I'll just say.
Let's just say it's a cautionary tale.
That's a plot song. That's a cautionary tale. That's like, you know.
Let's see what that.
I won't say no more. I've already given away too much.
All right. So for our last question, before we open the floor to the audience, is do you have any advice for any future aspiring actors or voice actors?
Yeah, don't do it. My advice, I think it's there's so many things I could say to that question. I think the key thing though is just to always be yourself. There's so many people trying to be somebody else in this industry, and that's great when you're on camera, but otherwise stay true to who you are, because everybody is unique and nobody is you, and that's the best thing that you can bring to a performance.
Yeah, I noticed because and I'm probably going to get a lot of hate for this, but one of my least favorite Robert De Niro performances was from The Godfather, because it was De Niro trying to do Marlon Brando instead of Brando doing Brando or De Niro doing De Niro. You know, it's like sometimes like when you try to emulate someone else, it doesn't quite, get the best of either of the two people, Yeah,
I think it's a hard thing, when Brando's already set up the character with a specific style, and then, De Niro comes in and he has to sort of play with that and find his own way, which I think he did.
Yeah. All right. So, shall we open it up to the audience?
Yes.
All
so,
right.
guys, thank you guys for the wait. Now, welcome to the comments questions. So, Jared, ready to answer some questions from your fans?
All right.
Awesome. We do have some greetings. Aaron Gills from Argentina says hi.
Hey, Aaron.
And then, of course, Paradimesh, one of our good followers, says hello from Mumbai, India. And then, okay, so our first question from Paradimesh is asking, have you watched any episodes or clips of Real Soldier, and did you ever study your Sensei counterpart, Guy Sorg, aka Nada?
Guy Sorg or Nada.
Thank you for the question, Paradimesh. The answer is no and no.
Yeah, it's actually kind of interesting because it's sort of like the armor possesses its user. So like it's not the person wearing the suit that's the ranger, it's the ranger suit itself, and it always looks for like a stronger host every time. So it's actually kind of interesting. And like I was actually when I was watching Dino Fury, I was wondering would they adapt that specific element in any capacity, because Void Knight was very secretive throughout the first two seasons, so really made me wonder.
Yeah, what's kind of cool is about like in the original Japanese, like Void Knight wasn't even the main villain. I actually like the fact that they made in the American version like Void Knight is the main villain. Yeah,
and what's funny is that in the Japanese version, he was actually supposed to be the original Red Ranger for that team, but he allegedly died, but in actuality he was Void Knight instead. So
Edward. Oh, wait. Some shout outs. Chris James says hello, Jared.
Hey, Chris.
And then Christy Pingian. Sorry if I butchered your name. Greetings from New York.
Greetings.
Oh, I love that one. Oh, that's the one I was talking about. Yours.
Wizo.
There we go.
Actually, but that was the one. Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking the word crow would somehow be involved in the name for some reason when I was like trying to recollect it because again his original name was Cuervo, so it's like crow. Brendan Lee reference.
Such a great film. That was a huge influence for the kid. Was Crow.
So Void Knight easily one of the best Power Ranger villains ever. His plans were so constant. Yeah, even when he didn't have to try that much, they were still great. Your role in Cosmic Fury rocks you. Aw.
Oh, thanks, Kent. That's awesome.
Yeah. To me now. Oh my God, guys.
Oh my God.
My brother from another.
yeah. I'd have to say one of my most favorite lines from Void Knight was the part where Mucus was having that daydream where like she like pushes the button she's not supposed to. There's like a disco scene going on. Like, no, Mucus, you're much cooler than me.
Oh my God. What's up, Thomas?
That's right. Hard. Thanks, Thomas.
Okay. Let's see. Oh, good question. If not an actor, then what profession would you have become?
Cricket player.
It's definitely a change from rugby. So
no, it wouldn't have been rugby because there was just too many injuries. If anything, it probably would have been. I really enjoy carpentry. Doing home renovations in my house at the moment. Although I'm not doing most of the building. I got a friend of mine doing that. I do enjoy it, and I wish I knew more, so I don't have patience.
And then follow question: is favorite cricketer or any spokesperson?
Favorite cricketer. I've got to admit I don't really watch that much cricket. Favorite sports person. Ever with the skill and the honor and the tenacity and all the other things, I would have to say Muhammad Ali is by far sportsman.
Legend. It's a legend right there. Thomas, what was the makeup process like to make Ty look?
Makeup process was I just stayed out of the sun for a very long time. That was all natural.
That's funny. You have to because like you're cryokinetic.
Yeah, the first season they were like, okay, we're gonna put some pale makeup on you, and they did that for most of the season. I think towards the end of it, they started to go, you know what, this is just too time consuming, and you're pale enough. It's fine. Next season, we won't worry about it. So yeah, the process was quickly revised.
Yeah, my headcanon would probably be like, oh well, like you have like a whole arc where like you were trying to get your powers back. So it's like wait, you were pale because like you didn't have your powers at first, but then now that you got them back and gained control, it's like now it's like your skin's like looking more normal.
Yeah. I was just constantly cold.
Let's see. Favorite line saying to Mucus, you behave. Oh yeah. You were their boss, so. Oh, you ever? Can you make bigger voice if possible? You must break all the tigers. Oh, this is in Jungle Fury, isn't it?
Oh, I wish I could. Oh, you want me to say it? Is that what
I think he wants you to say. Yeah, you can do it.
You must protect. You must protect. You must all protect for all. You must protect for. You must all protect for all tigers. Is that the line?
I guess so. I guess so.
I gotta think to that what that voice was. You must protect. Is that the line? Breath of me?
Yeah, Yeah, I
I
think he
think
says
so.
like if you possibly must protect all the tigers.
If possible, you must all protect for all the tigers. Okay.
If possible, you must all protect for all the tigers.
Something like that.
All right.
There you
Awesome.
go.
Awesome.
There you go.
I'll do what I must.
Do it.
Spirit,
Oh my god.
unleash.
Dragon Fury is his favorite season, by the way. He loves it to death.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah. Yeah. It's my all-time favorite season.
Oh, good question. Hi Jared, big fan. I don't know if this has been. But was there any discussion about an actual Void Knight Morphin sequence? If so, what was it? Oh.
No, unfortunately not. Hey, Kyle. No, unfortunately, there was never a discussion about Void Knight Morphin sequence. I mean, yeah, I think they sort of came up with it on a day of just either touching the shield or, yeah, like, what are we gonna do? Touch the shield.
If anything, you would just use the sword,
Yeah, it was a shame because it would have been cool to have a Morphin sequence. But,
Yeah, I'm also curious about if there were any plans to bring back the brown version of the armor, because there was a brown version of the armor.
yeah, a lot of
Yeah.
people, it never happened. So
Yeah, because there's a lot of like theories after Dino Fury ended, like in the Power Ranger community, that like you would have been like the Brown Ranger or Brown Armor. That's what people were wondering.
Yeah.
That's what I talked a lot about too. Like, oh, could we have our first Brown Ranger? Because we never had one yet.
no,
Yeah, closest there ever was in the Japanese version of like what was at the time the first season, because it was a spin-off of Captain America but from Japan. And so you had like members from different countries. So obviously you have Captain Japan, you have France, Kenya, and one of them is Battle Kozak, who's basically from the Soviet Union. And weirdly enough, he's a cowboy, but he has like a very dark yellow that looks brownish. So that's the closest we ever got to a Brown Ranger.
So Jared, I do have a question for my cousin. He's a huge fan. He's in the Philippines. So actually, some more requests. He's wondering if you could do Tarek's voice or Void Knight's voice in this scenario. Basically, let's see, what is it? Oh, Amelia forgot to pay the water bill, or your wife forgot to pay the water bill, like Void Queen.
okay. It's going to be very similar to Wagger, I think. As Void Knight?
Void Knight or Void King?
Yeah. If anything, I would think that Slither would be the one that would forget to pay the water bill. Feels like that's his responsibility, not the Void Queen's. She's like,
Slider, you forgot to pay the water bill.
Yeah.
yeah, there we go.
Nice. It looks like. Oh, Thomas is happy family day from Canada. Hello.
Nice.
All right, so it looks like
You are
that's.
family, Tom.
Aww. Nicholas Smith. Yeah, of course. Jared's a nice man. Of course, he is a nice man.
Oh,
Yeah.
Thanks.
I mean, he is Almighty Johnson. So.
Yeah.
Watch it.
All right, guys. It looks like that's all the comments. So yeah, Jared, thank you so much for being our special guest.
No worries. Thanks for having me, guys. It's been a lot of fun.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So before we leave, where can your fans follow you in social media?
You can get me on Instagram at Jared P Turner. So there's Jared. What's the code?
Underscore?
P? No. Anyway, Jared
Papa?
Turner. Yeah, Jared P Turner. I didn't say anything else. I didn't give you my email address today. I just.
Oh no, just your social security, dental records, blood type.
The top blood
You
type.
can follow me as Jared P Turner on all social media.
Oh wait, there's one. Okay, I'll do one last question. Okay, this guy. How much is your voice is Void Knight, and how much is done as post?
Most of my voice is Void Knight. I think there's just a little bit in post. They just sort of do a little bit of a reverb, and yeah, but most of it is what I sounded like. What I used to.
All right. That's our last question. Mary Quinn says thank you. Aw.
Oh, thank you.
Yes. So before we leave, can they find you an awesome partner?
Well, you can find me on Instagram at Boken_Kabuto and on Twitch at twitch.tv/BokenKabuto. Here, I actually got my thing right over here. I'll leave it up for about 5 seconds. Okay. And of course, my beautiful, amazing executive producer. Where can the people find you?
Dancerboy247.
Yeah.
And please follow us at the Morphin Network on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and on Twitter. Again, thank you, Jared, so much. And as we say, goodbye, guys. Have a more phenomenal day and happy President's Day. And happy Family Day in Canada.
Happy Family Day in Canada.
Happy Family Day in Canada. Bye.
All right, see you guys. Bye.